everyone. I wanted to share a story I had heard from a friend a long time ago. And even though it's going to sound unbelievable, it is actually true. And in 2026, I wouldn't be surprised to hear about something like this happening again. So I just wanted to share this. This person and I met when she was traveling from a different state as a trainer for my company. And she came in and she trained everybody, and we were one-on-one training. We didn't have like a big group meeting or anything. It was one-on-one training. And that's how I got to know her. So I know she did not make this up. She is a believable person. She left this other company because of this situation, and that's how she became a trainer. This other company she used to work for was a small lighting store. And what she said was people would come in and they would pick out lighting for their home, or if they were building a house, they would pick out lighting. It was not a hardware store like Home Depot or Lowe's. It wasn't like that. But you know how they have those lighting sections in like a hardware store? Like they have aisles of lighting that you can pick from, and then they usually have them in stock and you just bring them to the register and buy them right there. Her company didn't have anything in stock. It was basically like an office building where you would go in, you would tell them what lighting you wanted, and they would order it for you. She said that one Saturday morning, she was manning the entire store by herself, but it wasn't a big deal because they weren't like a huge retail store like Walmart, so it was manageable with one employee. The manager was off on weekends, but she had to work. So she's sitting at her desk and a woman came in and said she wanted a light fixture that was on the wall. Now, all of the light fixtures in this building were lit up on display because, of course, they wanted to showcase what they sold. And the customer saw this light fixture, and it was an indoor light fixture. It was not an outdoor, like for your front porch. This was like for a bathroom, a wall sconce, I believe, not something that hangs in the ceiling like a chandelier or anything like that. It was like a wall sconce for the bathroom. So the customer said she wanted that sconce. So my friend went ahead and wrote up the order. And the customer said, well, when can I get this? And my friend said, when is your electrician coming? And the customer said, in about 2 weeks. So my friend said, oh, there's plenty of time. I have to get it from our distributor, and it will be here next week, Wednesday. So this was a Saturday. It was going to be there Wednesday. The customer said, no, I want that right now. And my friend said, oh, I'm so sorry. That's the only one we have that's on the wall and working. I don't have another one. We don't have any stock here. This is just a specialty order company. And the customer said, well, I want it right now. And my friend was like, hey, look, I know everybody wants everything right now. However, it will be here Wednesday and we will deliver it to you for free. So you have no worries. It will be in plenty of time before your electrician comes. The customer did not take that for an answer. She was like, no way, no how. I am not leaving without that light fixture. My friend basically said, I'm so sorry, there's nothing I can do. So the customer went outside, called the manager, whose number, I guess it was like a plaque. I never saw this building, so I don't really know, but from how it was described to me, it was like a plaque outside, and it said, for management or something like that. I've seen them before in other businesses. So I kind of get what she was saying. It was like, for management, call this number after hours, something like that. So the customer called the number and got my friend's manager, who was home with his family. And again, it was his day off on a Saturday, so he wasn't expecting a call from a customer. Because, of course, my friend was perfectly capable of manning this, business by herself on a Saturday. So he got the call, and the customer was very upset and said that my friend deliberately would not take the wall sconce off the wall and give it to her. And my friend's manager drove to the location, went inside, and said to my friend, why didn't you give her the wall sconce? Well, first of all, she sold lighting, but she wasn't an electrician. She didn't know how to, I guess, I don't know the wording because I'm not an electrician. Detach? Take it off? I don't know. Take off the wires and everything. Detach the wires. Unhook the wires. Whatever you want to call it. She didn't do that because she didn't know how. She didn't want to get electrocuted. So the manager was like, Well, you should have given it to her. And my friend was like, I don't know how to take that off the wall. And he said, well, then why didn't you call me and I would have talked to you through it? And she's like, I'm not touching live electricity. I'm sorry, but I'm not an electrician. That's why we can get this stuff and deliver it for free. So he was very upset. He escorted my friend out the building and fired her on the spot. And she said that the situation left her pretty much scarred. And it was traumatizing, to say the least, because at that time, I guess her fiance, who she ended up marrying later, was down and out with like a broken leg. She was literally the only breadwinner. And this manager walked her out of the store because she refused to touch live electricity and remove a wall sconce for a customer who just didn't want to wait until Wednesday to get it. But there was no reason for her not to wait. She said her electrician wasn't coming until for like 2 weeks. So it just goes to show you that, that's really unsettling to me that a manager would do that. I do believe her. I do believe this story, and I believed it happened to her. I don't think she made this up at all. So the responsibility lies with him. He's the one that escorted her out and fired her on the spot. But I also worked in the public, and I saw every single day how customers, and I've talked about this before, how customers don't think twice about their interactions with employees. And I used the example when I spoke about it before of the Starbucks baristas, where a lot of times you'll see in the news where a barista got hot coffee thrown on them, or something happened in Starbucks. It's all the time. Or McDonald's even. Or somebody jumped through the drive-through window over nuggets or French fries or something, right? And you have to wonder what's going through a person's mind that does that, or what's going through a person's mind that says, no, I want this right now, and if you're not going to give it to me, I hope you get fired or whatever. And she goes out and gets the girl fired. And again, the responsibility of the firing is not up to her. It's not her responsibility. That's the manager's. The manager needs to own that. But what is going through the minds of customers now when they do things like this? Personally, this happened like 10 years ago too, maybe even longer now, because I've been out of corporate America for a couple of years. So maybe even like 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, something like that, But after 2000, I think we saw an uptick of things like this. I've seen it more and more. I've personally seen it more and more in the past few years, but I do believe there was an uptick during 2000s. Somewhere something happened. Because, I worked in retail when I was young, and I never saw anything like this from the customer side or the employee side. Once in a while you'd have a grouch, but, I never saw a manager escort somebody out because they didn't take an active electrical fixture off a wall. That's kind of ridiculous. I just wanted to share the story because it was so over the top, but it doesn't actually surprise me. We live in a society where you can have everything in an instant. So when somebody's walking into a retail store or a special order store, they want everything right now. Amazon, they can drone something. Walmart can deliver it to you in less than an hour. Sometimes I do look for things that I can get right now today, if I'm shopping. For example, if I go on the Walmart app and I see something that I can get today, I will order it for today delivery if it's free to me. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm not exempt from this. I'm not innocent in it either. However, the difference is I also don't treat people like that. I also don't walk into a retail establishment looking to be mean to somebody or trying to get my way or trying to be overbearing or overpowerful or trying to tell them how to do their job. And I think that's where we've kind of changed in society. Somebody is sitting there trying to just do their job, regardless of the job. And the customer, the client, whatever it may be, goes in and they think they're the ones dictating the shots. They're going to tell it like it is. They're the ones that are going to make that employee do what they want. And I wonder when that actually started, because I don't remember that ever happening before 2000. And I didn't really see it ramp up until just a few years ago, maybe 5, maybe 6 years ago. I hope that in seeing things like this more and more and hearing these stories that are just unbelievable, it isn't a sign that we've lost caring, concern, and compassion for another human being. We're all human. We all do the best we can with what we have. And it's a shame that there are people out there like this who just want to do it their way, get what they want without concern for anyone else, whatever it takes, even if it means an employee has to be fired so they can get that sconce off the wall right then and there for something they don't even need for 2 weeks. Now, my question for that is really this. Why would she want to use sconce? Get one brand new in a box. Thanks for watching today. Take care.